Well, glory be and mercy me. We've done it yet again. Here we are. Daily walk around the graveyard, right? So, as I look around for articles for my live stream, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Thursday, please join us. I find a beautiful expression of the overwhelming contempt that the ownership class has for the citizens. Usually when these statements of contempt come, they come out of the mouths of buffoonish, cartoonish figures like Kevin O'Leary, right? Just grown child men who are obviously narcissists, and so it's kind of easy to dismiss them. But when it comes out of the mouth of Sobey's CEO, Michael Medline, I think that we should all sit up, pay attention, and acknowledge that the ownership class is trying to tell us, oh, we're all in this together, we're all working hard to improve the quality of life for everybody, and if you just believe us this time again, even though we've lied to you for the last 50 years, if you just keep believing us, we're for sure going to actually make things better for everybody. Well, when Michael Medline comes out, when 60% of the society is saying, man, I'm struggling to pay my bills, when 60% of Canadians are saying that they're having to reduce their quality of life, that they're struggling to pay their bills, when 30% of Canadians are saying that they're not going to be able to pay their bills as inflation destroys their lives, right? As the government and the private sector in cahoots together work to destroy our lives. Michael Medline decides to stand up and say, I'm not going to apologize for jacking prices on citizens over this period of time. I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to feel bad for fleecing citizens in this way, right? The exact quote, of course, is, I'm not going to feel, I'm not going to apologize for doing well over this period of time, right? Because he's pretending, like all of these narcissistic, detached psychopaths do, he's pretending like the success that Sobey's is experiencing has something other to do than the fact that they've monopolized the market. People have nowhere else to go. He's pretending like it's because of his savvy intellect, right? Like all narcissists do. He's pretending like it's not a system that's designed to extract as much wealth from the populace as they can get away with. And the best part about it all is that this is fully supported by the Liberals. This is fully supported by the Conservatives, certainly. This is fully supported by the Bank of Canada. They are doing absolutely nothing to prevent these narcissists from jacking prices on us, calling it quote-unquote inflation, pretending like it's just, oh, it's the natural force, it's the natural phenomenon of life. It's happening all over the place. We can't possibly control it, except if it was actually a natural force, if it was actually a thing that they weren't actively doing in order to extract as much wealth from us as they can before they abandon us, then they would also be experiencing it. But that's not what's happening. Profits are going up for these guys. They're making more money than they've ever made, right? They're making more money than they've ever made. Certainly if inflation existed and it was hitting everybody across the board equally, and oh my God, there's not, well, there would at least be a plateauing. There would at least be a decline of some kind. They would at least be experiencing something. But isn't it funny how inflation only seems to matter if you're poor? Inflation only seems to matter if you're destitute. Inflation only seems to matter if you're barely holding on by your fingertips. But if you're rich, then oh well, more money for me, I guess. That's just the natural phenomenon of life, isn't it? And when we complain about it, when we point it out, they turn around and gaslight us. And that's where we are. And it's getting more and more obvious. They're feeling less and less inclined to even pretend like they have to care, because they don't. Their goal is to extract wealth from the society and then abandon us. That's their goal. That's what they're doing. And if you think otherwise, you're a gullible rube. We have to surround the halls of power. There's nothing left. These people are not going to respond rationally. This is how they're responding right now and blaming it on quote unquote inflation. What do you think they're going to do when the famines begin? What do you think they're going to do when climate change begins to burn down fields of crops? What do you think they're going to do when the droughts happen and the water wars begin? How do you think they're going to act when the food shortages happen, when shelves are empty because we literally can no longer produce the food because we've destroyed the ecosystem we rely on? How do you think they're going to act? Do you think they're actually going to go, well, there's a real struggle going on and we got to make sure that every Canadian has access to all this stuff? Or do you think they're just going to say, well, what are you going to do? I'm not going to apologize for fleecing people and jacking prices. Right? You think inflation is bad now? You think inflation is bad now? Wait for the famines. Wait for the famines. People like Michael Medline, narcissistic psychopaths, will happily watch people die in the streets while simultaneously just telling them to get better jobs, work harder, right? That's exactly how they're acting now. It's exactly how they'll act when climate change kicks in and the famines begin. We have to surround the halls of power. We have to fundamentally alter the relationship that we have with production. Letting these detached, narcissistic psychopaths have control of the means of production during periods of crisis is going to be a disaster. And they've given us no alternative, because they've taken the wealth that they have extracted out of the society and they've used it to buy the systems of power. They've bought the Liberals, they've bought the Conservatives, they've bought the NDP. And if you think that we're going to be able to coalesce under a third party, yeah, right. I'm sure they're just going to silently watch as we begin to find power, create alternative power structures, and they're certainly not going to, assassinate people like they have in the past repeatedly over and over again right in front of your face, admittedly. Like, we have to surround the halls of power. We have to redraw our Constitution. We have to create a new relationship with each other that excludes these psychopaths from the conversation, because they are going to destroy us, because that's what they want to do. Like, share, subscribe. We've got to support leftist voices. More and more people are getting chased off these platforms. It won't be too much longer until I'm gone. They'll find an excuse. Please consider donating to my Patreon, right? Direct donations is the best way to support people like this, because God knows YouTube doesn't pay. All right, guys, always remember, you're a quantum being walking around in quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the hopes that you'll never realize it. You'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel, revolt, repent. Good luck. We're gonna need it.